To many, Man o' War is just a location on a GPS, but to those steeped in the history of thoroughbred racing, he was a champion who had no equal. And now on this, the 100th anniversary of his birth, Lexington is planning a huge party. It's a celebration fit for a big red star.
America in the 1920s was the heyday for iconic figures. But none came as close to perfection in their pursuit of greatness as Man o' War. And Kentucky horseman Preston Madden says Man o' War's impact cannot be overstated.
He was a star and led many people to admire him, and therein he was great press for the horse industry, because in those days they used to put the headlines in the paper. It was a great thing for racing.
Man o' War debuted on June 6, 1919 with a 6-length win at Belmont Park. He lost only once in 21 starts, and that defeat merely enhanced his legendary status. Man o' War finished his racing career with 3 world records, 2 American records, and 7 track records. And an Associated Press survey ranked him as the greatest horse of the 20th century. A 1941 edition of the Saturday Evening Post featured Man o' War and his groom, Will Harbert, on the cover more than 2 decades after Big Red's last race. It was a tribute to a horse who drew some 50,000 fans a year to his retirement home at Faraway Farm in Kentucky. One of those fans was a Kentucky teenager whose father put the first halter on a young Man o' War. Ursel Ellis would grow to work in the thoroughbred industry, and he vividly remembers the impact Man o' War had on the racing public.
It was remarkable because people saw different things in him, but if you were anywhere, if you've ever been around horses before, I mean, he really made an impact on you. It was always fun to watch him turn him out because he would take off running like you never saw it before in your life, and it was unbelievable the power that horse had.
Man o' War inspired a legion of racing fans. One of them, Ken Grayson, developed a passion for collecting thoroughbred memorabilia, like the saddle worn by Man o' War in that 1920 match race against Sir Barton that was the exclamation point on an incomparable career on the track.
I think Man o' War was not only great in his time, I think Man o' War would have been great in any era. Man o' War was the original Big Red. You know, he won his races, every one of them eased up. You know, he won them so easy, carrying an amazing amount of weight compared to every other horse in the race. He set track records, world records.
When Man o' War died on November 1st, 1947, the funeral was the subject of a national radio broadcast.
The broadcast of the burial services of Man o' War.
9 different speakers delivered eulogies on the passing of Man o' War, including Claiborne farm owner A.B. Bull Hancock. Man o' War was also eulogized by recently turned centenarian Dr. William McGee, the noted veterinarian who cared for the horse in his later years.
I was glad I was there when he died. Seemed to know that somebody was there.
Owner Sam Riddle turned down an offer to sell Man o' War for $1 million, and it would be 35 years before another horse would command that kind of price tag. Riddle had a statue erected to commemorate the passing of his gallant steed, which was later moved to the Kentucky Horse Park, where it remains a popular tourist attraction today. The sculptor, Herbert Hazeltine, once said, "There was something that emanated from that noble animal that took my breath away." Joe Palmer, the most famous turf rider of his time, described Man o' War as being as near to a living flame as horses ever get. A fitting epitaph for the horse that captured the fancy of a nation and kept it through his final day. Few horses are memorialized in statue form like Man o' War, and 100 years after his birth, the legend of Big Red remains as revered as ever.